On a daily basis, an estimated 700,000 people are held in jail simply because they cannot afford to pay bail. And according to prison policy, almost 70% of people held in jail have not even been convicted of a crime. Their only crime is being poor. What is the story behind money bail? Why is it affecting so many? And what is being done about it? Grab your pen and paper. This may be an eye-opener.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. Gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. Yeah, Dad. We're getting so wet.
Hello and welcome to the CLARION Call Show. I am Janice Liggins, your host. The money bail system in the United States has exploded to alarming rates, impacting the poor in the Black community in grossly disproportionate ways. Joining us to discuss the money bail challenge and efforts to overcome it is Ms. Nnennaya Amuchie, an attorney and an independent supporter of the Black Youth Project. Nnennaya, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Glad to have you, and I am very much excited about this topic because I don't think many people understand what the money bail situation is, and that it is even an epidemic. So thank you for coming on to talk about it, and I know that, give us a little bit about your professional background.
Okay, so I'm a new attorney. I work in a nonprofit organization doing reproductive justice policy in DC. I'm originally from California. And also I'm an organizer with an organization, BYP 100, in the DC chapter. It is a national chapter, and we have chapters throughout the country, and we're a group of young Black youth who operate out of like a Black queer feminist lens. So we center the most marginalized people in the actions and campaigns that we do.
Wonderful. So you're grassroots all the way.
Yes, I think grassroots are important,
Yes.
and that's how we change societies.
So what drew your interest to the whole money bail situation?
Yeah, so by nature of that I'm an attorney, I think a lot of throughout law school and prior to law school, I mean, I think since I'm a young Black woman, I've never had positive ideas about the criminal legal system or about policing. So I've always been trying to find ways to disrupt mass incarceration. I think through my organizing and through my work, we believe in abolition of prisons and police. And so what drew me to this is that I think for the last 2 years, it's been kind of a buzz thing in the news following Khalif Browder out of New York. He was a young Black teen who was picked up in New York City and was in prison for a couple years because he could not afford a $3,000 bail. And then we also have the incident of Sandra Bland, who was held in jail because she couldn't afford a $500 bail. So these are the different, points in my life that drew me to this issue of money bail, and I just think it's inhumane and unlawful, quite honestly.
Well, we have a video that kind of gives an overview, a recap of the money bail system. So we're going to take a quick look at that.
Okay.
When a mother is arrested, the first thing she thinks about is where her children are. Who is going to take care of them? Did you know that 80% of women in jail are mothers?
In 16 cities all over the country, folks are taking the risk, building their collective courage to buy Black Mamas freedom for Mother's Day. We are creating atmospheres of love and appreciation and generosity to welcome our people home.
They go to black women, brown women, and they say, I will help you, quote, help you bail out your loved one. But what you have to do for me is you got to put up your house. You got to give me your savings. You got to give me your assets. You got to give me your phone number, all your work numbers, all your, where do your kids go to school, so I can hunt you down when I need some money from you.
It's not for the black and brown. It's for the rich to get richer and the poor to get poorer, the way it's set up, because once you're incarcerated, once you're in jail, you lose your job. There's a chance you lose your children to CPS. If you have a vehicle and they get pounded, you lose your vehicle. So while you're sitting in jail, waiting on time or waiting, so many people, it's been waiting 5 to 6 months, just to get a chance to see the judge.
Anytime that I'll be away from my daughter, all my other responsibilities, here come rent, gotta be paid. I got stuff that I need to be doing that's more important than just sitting here.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yes.
That's powerful. So with the money bail, if people have money and they can afford to pay their bail, they are able to go home and get out, correct?
Correct.
Regardless as to how dangerous they may be or how much of a risk to society they may be, if they have money to pay bail, they generally are out.
Right.
Whereas the poor just sit there.
Yeah, it's a modern day bounty system, right, in which people profit off of individuals who are poor, who are black, who are women, who are queer, and have them stay in, cages, essentially. And when you are already marginalized outside of jail and are already marginalized outside of in society, then it's easy for you to disappear, right? It's easy for people to forget about you. People forget that these people are human beings. We're human beings. And human beings are not meant to be in cages. So it is a targeting of the poor, and because there is no guidelines on bail, then judges and commissioners can decide if, when, and how they want to set bail and under what conditions people are paying bail. And there's so many issues that go into it. It's also, surveillance after people are in jail.
Surveillance, meaning?
Surveillance. So maybe you have something on your foot that is tracking everywhere you go. So some people may have a condition that if you get out of jail, then you have to pay us monthly to be surveilled, right? Again, it's another way to profit off of people.
The individual who's being surveilled has to pay the...
Yes, has to pay.
But they have not been found guilty.
Right. So, about over 70% of people who are sitting in local jails have not been charged of anything, but they're being held because they can't afford bail or because the judge or commissioner decides on their own, whatever discretion that they have, right? They have the discretion to decide these things and decide that people should be remain incarcerated.
And so the amount of bail that is set, let's say it's $5,000. Sometimes I've heard where a person may only have to pay 10% of that, $500. But there are times when they have to pay the whole amount. And what determines that? Is that just up to the judge? Or?
It's up to the judge. The judge can say, well, you pay $15,000 and I want 100% of it. And they just don't think that people, can afford bail. So they do as they please. And because, again, there's no guidelines around how to set bail, then the judges and commissioners can target poor people, target black people, target, marginalized people who oftentimes don't have access to an attorney, don't have access to funds to fight the case. And a lot of times this is set up so that people, if you are in jail, then you're more likely to plead guilty. You're more likely to have longer sentences. And when you're outside of jail, then you can prepare your case. You can, be in the mental state for you to go to court and go through your trial. And again, these people have not been charged of, have not been convicted of any crime.
Anything,
right?
Of anything. And so if they have a job and they're in 4 or 5 months, they're going to lose their job.
They're going to lose their job. They might lose custody of their children. They might lose their home. Again, they might lose their vehicle, lose connections.
And not even found guilty.
And not even found guilty. So again, it's a cage. It's to, it's dehumanizing, and we know that jails and prisons have exacerbate people's mental health needs and issues. So it's a way to, repress people and oppress people for no reason other than they can, right? Because there's no evidence that says that people who are incarcerated while they're awaiting trial are more likely or not to come to jail. I mean, more likely to come to their trial. There's nothing that says that.
Well, what about the people who pay bail?
Right.
Who can pay their bail?
Right.
There aren't restrictions on them.
Right.
If they pay bail, they expect they'll show up.
Right.
So why is it that the poor person is automatically expected to not show up?
Right. And who has $500 or $5,000 or $10,000 just laying around, right? People who have children, people who are caretakers of their mothers or their fathers or their their siblings, they don't have that money to just front $2,000, so people stay, and they stay for months to years. There's some people who stay there for years and disappear. Again, it's a way to disappear people who are already invisibilized in society.
Wow. How widespread is the money bail system problem? Is it nationwide? Is it in certain pockets? Or
it's definitely nationwide. I don't think you'll find a state or a city or a county where you don't have this issue.
And to the people who are collecting the bail bondsmen, what benefit do they offer? They pay the bail, but then, as the video said, they take your house, or you have to put up your house as collateral, and they could possibly take all of these. Suppose you're found not guilty. Do you get the money back?
It varies. It varies, and also you're paying more to the bail bonds than you would if you had the money to pay. And a lot of times, a bail bond, you have to pay the 100% of the money, right? And also, if you do pay cash bail, then once you go to court, you get that money back. So what cash bail works as, what it's supposed to work as, quote unquote, is security, right? It says that if you pay this money, then you agree to appear at trial on so-and-so date. But if you pay the money to the bail bonds, then you don't get that money back.
Oh my goodness.
Most times you don't get that money back. So again, it's a predatory loaning process, right? And we know there's a history of predatory loaning in the Black community, whether that's like layaway. It's basically layaway, right? It's you have payments every month, and that has, taxes or a percentage more than what you would pay if you just had $100 or $500 to pay cash.
It's the money bail system has been reported as being a perpetual, endless way to keep people in poverty, and I guess because of those things that you just mentioned, and also the children, who are impacted if mom goes to jail. All of a sudden now those kids have to have somebody to care for them. What have you seen as impacts for the children? Have you seen any situations where they are worse off, or how are they generally cared for?
I mean, a number of things can happen, right? There can be an agreement where the children are staying with a grandparent. There may be agreement that they're staying with a friend, or they go into the system. And we know that once your children are into the system, it's really hard. Again, you have to go through all this process while you're also thinking about how, when you come out, how am I going to get a job? How am I going to get a house? You're also thinking about how you're going to get your children back and whether or not your children can even have contact with you while you're in jail. So imagine the emotional, mental, psychological impact on the children who don't get to see their parents, or the physical trauma of police officers coming to your house and arresting a parent or caretaker while the children are still there. There's some cases where children were just left there, for months at a time or days at a time, and the police officers, nobody checked on the children. So if we're trying to keep communities safe, is what bail is doing, we're actually harming communities by taking fundamental people out of the home and communities, right? So it doesn't protect anybody. It harms people, and there's better ways. Like I said, there's no guarantee, or there's no statistics that say that people are more likely to come to court if they have a bail versus if they don't pay bail.
It'd be interesting to see, and I don't have this particular fact, what's the ratio of, I know 60% of the people in jail or prison are people of color, but how many people of the bail bonds customers are Black versus any other color? And that would be very interesting to find out.
Yeah, and the majority of them are Black and
I know
brown.
the majority, but it would be interesting to know just how high that number gets.
Right.
I know that they're lobbying to keep their industry
Booming.
Booming.
$9 billion industry.
Wow. Wow. Well, we've got to make sure that we do something about that.
Thank you.
Okay. So what happens when a community works together to overcome unfair policies? That's next. Stay tuned.
I'm here. Can you see me? Because I feel like I'm invisible. Like this whole place is invisible. If it weren't for the nightly news, no one would even think of this place. But down here, things look different. Down here, our spirits are bright and our dreams are vivid. And if given a chance, that's what the world would see.
Welcome back. We're continuing to address the challenges the money bail system imposes on the poor and Black. Further, what is being done to address it? Joining us again is Ms. Nnennaya Amuchie, along with Ms. Shalise Williams, one of the mothers who was impacted. Ladies, thank you again for joining us. And I'm excited about this next piece because there's a huge national Black Mamas Bailout campaign that was going on. Tell us a little bit about that. Who organized it and how did it get started?
Yeah, so it was organized by an organization called SONG, Southerners on New Ground, which is based out of Atlanta, and they have chapters in Durham and throughout the South. And they put out a national call to the Movement for Black Lives, which is hundreds of organizations and individuals who are interested in Black people and Black liberation. And they put out a call to ask if anybody wants to join this action to, highlight the problems with money bail and highlight, mass incarceration and how that affects specifically Black women and Black mothers. And when we say Black mothers, it's broad. It's caretakers, it's trans women, it's queer women, queer people. So they put a national call out, and some of the organizers here in DC decided that we want to join that. So me, along with a team of people, including my friend Janae Taylor and Samantha Masters, came together and started raising money to join this action.
So I find that very interesting because this was you heard about it, but you decided that you wanted to get involved and do something pretty much independently.
Right.
That's awesome.
Right. It's individuals from all over the country who stepped up and said that this is a problem. And it's really easy to set up an online GoFundMe or whatever account to raise money for any issue. And we felt that this issue was really important, especially since we're focusing on Black women.
Sure.
I think a lot of times in the conversation of mass incarceration and policing, we ignore Black women and how Black mothers are directly impacted by this, whether it's through them personally being harassed or brought into jails and prisons, or if it's them being ripped away from their families or their sons or their husbands or partners. So I think it's really intentional about focusing specifically on Black women and Black femme folks.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you had mentioned before that this effort is rooted pretty much in the history of Black liberation. why do you say that?
Yeah, I think since Black people came to the States and to the Americas, they've been fighting for their freedom, right? And a lot of times people who had money, white abolitionists and well-off Black people came together and had meetings and collected funds, right? You have like history of like Harriet Tubman and different, you know, abolitionists who went around telling stories about the brutality of slavery and asking people to put money together so that they can buy each other's freedom. Sometimes you have people hiding in boxes, right, and going in cargo. Like we have the whole concept of the Underground Railroad, and that was Black people helping other Black people because they understood that all of our freedom is bounded together. So as long as people are in jails and prisons, then we as society have failed.
So you're basically bringing some of the practices of our ancestors of history
Right.
into today. So how successful, I know for Mother's Day, there was a huge push to get as many moms bailed out of jail as possible so they could be home on Mother's Day. So that was not only in the Washington metropolitan area, but in multiple cities around the country. How effective was it? What was the outcome?
I think it was an amazing outcome. I think over 100 Black women were bailed out across the country even. So we focus on jails, prisons, and detention centers. So we even have a story out of LA where it was an immigrant woman from Haiti who was bailed out for that, and that was like a really big success because, again, people are also disappearing in detention centers. So organizations from all over the world, we raised thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars all over the country, and that was able to get over 100 people out. So I think it was highly successful. It was in the news. Recently, Jay-Z had committed to donating money to Song in an effort to help fathers and also to highlight again the money bail system and how that's affected Black people.
And so right here in this area, how effective was it?
I think it was effective. I mean, for a small team of people, we were able to bail out about 9 people. Wonderful. And we've gone almost every week since Mother's Day to go to the jails and see what's happening and see if we can post bail for people inside. So, Shalise,
yes.
You are one of those moms who was bailed out.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. So that's showing impact right here. And that is awesome. So tell us a little bit about your story, you know, how you got in and how long you were in and so forth.
I got arrested April 1st. My lawyer came and seen me May 11th and told me about the organization that's going around bailing out Black moms. He said he wasn't too sure if it was real or not, so don't get my hopes up. But I was excited.
It is unusual.
A lot of people were like, are you for real trying to bail out Black women? They were shocked. So.
He was saying he didn't know how real it was. Then May the 12th that morning, they came and they said, come sign your bail papers. I said, are you joking? Tell me you're joking. They say no. Upon release, I was greeted with balloons, flowers, Miss Janae, my mom. I mean, I was incarcerated for 42 days. Longest 42 days of my life.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And you have other children.
Yes, I do.
And
I have 3 children.
Someone had to take care of them.
My children ended up in the system. I'm actually currently trying to fight to get my children back.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That is awful.
Yes.
That is so. That is awful, because now their poor little innocent kids have nothing to do with nothing, and it's not like you're a murderer.
Exactly.
You know, well, I'm sorry. That is awful. You wrote an article in Rewire about making the case for why you wanted to support something like this. And there were several points you made in that. You want to just share a little bit about that, because I thought it was a very meaningful article. So, and this whole, I know you didn't start Song, I know you didn't start even the other organization, BYP, is it?
Yes.
But I applaud you for just saying, by golly, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do something and make a difference, and you are. So what drew you to this, to write the article, and why are you so passionate about it?
Like people like Shalise, I think these are real people And again, I think that the prison and jail system is inhumane.
It is.
I think a lot of efforts have been pushed to make it, more humane and better, but I honestly think that people should not be in jails and prisons. I think that we need to invest, and that's part of like my organizing and part of why I went to law school, is like try to find ways to disrupt these systems of oppression. And the jails and prisons is a big one, right? And it's directly connected to policing, right? Who gets targeted, who gets pulled over, why they're pulled over, and why they're targeted, right? If you go to another neighborhood in the suburbs or white suburbs or a college campus, everything that white boys do on college campuses, they're not in jail for these things, right? They don't have to go sit in jails for months or years at a time because they have the money and the resources to get out. So I think this is a process of humanizing people and recognizing that people are human beings and we're all capable of being somewhere, someplace, given our environment and given our circumstances. And this is, I talked about this is a reproductive justice issue because deciding if, when, and how you want to have children, right? Do you want to bring children into a world that constantly criminalizes yourself and your children, right? And what are the resources and tools you have in your environment to raise children? These are the things that pull me to it. If we care about communities, if we care about humanity, then we should be destroying the system, which is, again, disappearing Black women and putting them in cages and taking them away from their communities and taking them away from resources of the ways they need to thrive and putting them in more violent circumstances because jails are violent.
They're violent.
And prisons are violent.
And they often make people worse off just by having to survive while you're there.
And it's more of an indicator of what we're lacking in society than it is of what individual people do, right? It's not about what people do or didn't do. It's about that we in a society live in a very punitive society that blames people, that dehumanizes people, and we throw people away and we act like they don't exist.
Yes, yes. Shalise, when you went into the system, do you want to share what that was about?
I actually caught my charge back in 2014. I've been on probation ever since 2015. Well, I have to report monthly, and also when you report, you're not allowed to bring your children. I'm a single mom, so I was pretty much stuck between a rock and a hard place. Either don't report in or leave my children, and I refused to leave my children. So I will go report in, and it's technically not showing up because I couldn't be in the office with my kids.
So they were, because you brought the kids and they denied you being able to do that, they put it down as you not showing up.
Yes, as failure to appear.
Okay.
So they issued a bench warrant, and I had a warrant for my arrest.
Because you took your children?
Because I took my children. Mind you, I was due to get off March 19th.
Off of probation?
Off of probation. They violated me March the 1st.
Oh, wow.
And put the bench warrant out March the 1st. 18 days. I only had 18 days left of probation.
Wow. And how much was your bail?
$2,500, 100%.
100%. So that's one of the situations where the judge gets to say 100% or 10%, and he just chose 100%.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Because you took your kids with you.
Yes. Yes.
How did you feel when you about the whole bailout system, about the Mama Bailout, Black Mama Bailout program?
All I could do was cry. That's all I could do. It was cry. I couldn't believe it was actually happening. Like I was just sitting there trying to figure out how would I be able to come up with, or my family be able to come up with the $2,500.
Right.
And then the organization that don't know me from Adam and Eve.
Yes, amen.
Came to my rescue.
Well, we're glad they did.
Yes.
We're glad they did. Nnennaya, thank you. I thank you so much and thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate you both. When our community is working together, we can overcome just about any challenge. Our challenge is each of us must get involved. If you're not working with a nonprofit in your community, today is a great day to get started. Give us a call at 464-7305 and we will help you get connected to a project near you. That's it for now. We hope you enjoyed the show. Join us next time, won't you, for the Clarion Call. Until then, I'm Janice Liggins. Blessings to you.